Got a request. Somebody wants to see how do you draw Scrappy Doo. And I got a model sheet from online, and let's take a look at what it takes to draw a Scrappy Doo character. There's two different sheets here. This says 1985 and this one is 1980. So this is what they would have been using, I guess, when I don't know when he first came out, but this is an earlier sheet by 5 years than this one. Not much change. Matter of fact, there's two poses that are the same pose right there and there. And that one is that one there. So they kept those and added a few more. But let's break them down and see what it takes to make a Scrappy Doo. So if we want to do the profile, we see there's a shape here, and then another shape for the body, which can be broken down into one circle there and another circle here, separated by this collar, tiny short arms, which are another shape, tail, which is kind of a curved triangle, and the ears up here, which are basic shapes again. You can just put circles there, or ellipses for those ears. Small eyes, and then the nose comes out just another big shape like this. So let's see what we can do with that. And let's start with let's start with his head here, and just blocking in where everything's going to be. There's his head, there's his collar, here's his body down here. There's one circle and another circle, and then his legs come down right there. He has little tiny legs because he's a little tiny dog. And his tail goes up like this. So you see, it's all just basic shapes. And that's how you make any characters, with basic shapes. Now, they've got the collar coming out to here, I guess. And we can change it and add his arm out a little bit like that. I guess tiny paws like that. And the nose goes up like this. Another basic shape like that. And then his mouth does a double dip up. Color that in. His nose gets colored in. And then his eye is kind of close to the edge of his face. And his eyebrow up here. Like that. Bring that collar over. And then there's got to be a little bit of a shape there for his tag. Here's one ear, and the other ear is right above right on his forehead, it seems. And then this part comes down like that. Eyeball here. And a little line under his eye. So there's your basic Scrappy Doo. Got his paw balled up into a fist there. Comes all the way up and around just under the collar. And this line here continues down like that. And the line here for his jaw should continue down here for his chest and his stomach. And then his paws like this. Get some hand detail in there. And like that. So his head, a little curve on top like this. And looks like his forehead comes here and then goes out a bit like that. So that line you can go over with your dark pencil just so you know which shape you're doing. His nose comes up a bit higher like this, and then down. So sometimes you want a softer pencil just so you can see over top of this blue. There we go. So there's your Scrappy Doo. Like I've said before, just basic shapes, and you can draw any character just by sticking to the basic shapes of the character. And you can fill in the mouth there. Here's the fist. And then let's finish off with the ears. Looks like it actually comes up like that. And then here, I've added some curves here and there, but I don't think the supervisor would get on me too much for that. All right, kitty. All right, I gotta wrap this up so I can get to my kitty. And there's your Scrappy Doo. Put a line there so we know he's standing on something, and a little shadow so we know he's actually on a surface. And we'll see you next time. Keep drawing.